Hello and welcome to the WTA Weekly Wrap-Up. My name is Jess, and over here on the Quality Shot YouTube channel, we talk about everything that's going on the WTA Tour. The season might be over, however, we need to talk about some of the best moments and things that went on in the 2024 season that were just some highlights that went on. If you love tennis, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button because Quality Shot covers everything going on the men's and women's side of the tennis tours. There were so many great moments in the 2024 season on the WTA, a few storylines, a few players, a few matches that were real highlights, and these are some of the matches and moments that I really enjoyed from the season. I'm sure there were plenty of others that I don't cover in this video, so make sure that you comment your favorite moments and we can have a chat about what were some of the highlights and big moments from the 2024 season. So these moments aren't necessarily in order of my favorite, but they're just a few moments that were real highlights for me. The first one is the dominance of Aryna Sabalenka on hard courts this year. Obviously, she started the year really strong by taking out the Australian Open, back-to-back AO champion, and she continued to do well throughout the year by winning a couple of other titles as well. That included the Cincinnati Open and the Wuhan Open, and then she also took out her third Grand Slam, which was the US Open, the fourth Grand Slam for the year, where she beat Jess in the final. In 2024, she had 56 wins and 14 losses and then ended the year as world number one. I mean, for me personally, she was the best player on the WTA side for the whole tour. Obviously, there was also Iga Swiatek, who took out 5 titles for the year, so she obviously had a really good year as well. But for me, I think I would say Sabalenka had the best year on the WTA. I think ending the season at world number one is definitely something that has to be recognized and makes her season up there as being the best, and then winning 2 Grand Slams. 4 titles, I mean, such a good year. There was not that many people that were really touching Sabalenka in terms of beating her on hard courts this year. Obviously, towards the end of the season, we saw Gauff do well, so I think that will be interesting going into 2025. We'll talk more about the 2025 season in a minute, but yeah, I think for me, Sabalenka taking out 2 Grand Slams was definitely a highlight. I love to see hard-hitting women's tennis. I just love it. That's my favorite type of tennis to watch. So I love to see Sabalenka dominating. The next moment for me was the dominance of Iga Swiatek on clay. As I say, she won 5 titles for 2024, but specifically I just want to talk about her clay season. So she took out the French Open. She did a 3-peat. That was so impressive. Anyone doing a 3-peat is just incredible. On any surface, in any sport, doing a 3-peat is so difficult. So the fact she was able to do it was so impressive. She won Madrid and she won Rome as well. So I feel like her clay season was just stellar. And then obviously heading into the Olympics, she was the clear favorite. A lot of people thought, I know me included, thought that she would take out the gold medal. It felt like a bit of a done deal that she would take out gold, but that obviously didn't happen. And although she still got bronze, which was incredible, like any medal from the Olympics is impressive, but the fact that she didn't get gold is very clearly her goal for the Olympics. And I mean, the expectations were so high, and it felt a little bit like the expectation is what let her down in the end, because she put so much pressure on winning gold, and you could see the emotion from her after she lost in the semi-finals, and kind of seemed as if she had let down Poland. But I mean, winning any form of medal is impressive in my opinion, but when you're aiming for gold and you don't get that, then that's going to be really disappointing. And unfortunately, I think from there, that was kind of where her downfall started a little bit. I wouldn't say she had a big downfall in 2024. Like, she lost the world number 1 ranking to Sabalenka, but I think that was fair. Like, Sabalenka had been playing really well for most of the season, but that loss from the Olympics, I do think affected Swiatek for the rest of the season and meant that she wasn't as good as maybe we thought she would be or she would have thought. But she has a new coach heading into 2025, and I think that's going to be really interesting to see how that works for her. I think it will be beneficial and she will do well with that. I think change is always positive. She's already achieved so much with her previous coach, and then having a new coach can be a good thing, providing the relationship is good and they get along and all that sort of thing. But I do think that she's going to have a good 2025. She's too good of a player not to do well, in my opinion. whether she is as dominant on clay. I mean, in 2024, there wasn't really any other player that I would compare her to, but in terms of hard court tennis, maybe having a new coach will help her be able to dominate there a little bit better and to be able to compete with Sabalenka and even Coco and Rybakina and just the others, just to kind of stay up there with the other players. As I say, winning 5 titles, doing a 3-peat at Roland Garros. She had a good year. She had a good year. I would not say she had a bad year by any stretch. Another highlight was Krejcikova winning Wimbledon, taking out her 2nd singles Grand Slam title. It was a little unexpected that she would take out Wimbledon at the beginning of the tournament, once Sabalenka withdrew and Swiatek lost in, which I think was a round of 32, and Pegula lost as well early. It kind of felt like, okay, who was going to take this out? Rybakina was a bit of a favourite, but then she lost to Krejcikova and then she became the favourite. And look, she did amazing to win the Grand Slam. Now, talking about a few players that had returns in 2024 that was really exciting was Naomi Osaka. That was my highlight. I've always been a big Naomi Osaka fan ever since I was younger, and her coming back was great for women's tennis. And I think there was a lot of expectation with her coming back because obviously she was coming back from having a baby and she's a multiple Grand Slam champion. And when someone comes back from maternity leave, I think we all hope that they will just dominate. And that means that the expectation is always so high and we expect a lot. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know if you think her season was good as a comeback. Personally, I think it was a good comeback season. She still came back and played well, I thought, as a comeback season. Hopefully next year is really good for her, but I do think overall it was a decent season. We saw her nearly beat Swiatek, which for me is up there as one of the matches of the year. So that was at the French Open where she had a match point against Swiatek in the 3rd set, and Swiatek was able to save that, and this was in the 2nd round. Now, the reason why I love that match, not just because it was really telling to see where Naomi was at the time, but it felt like this could have been a huge moment. Just imagine if Naomi had won that match, then the 2024 clay season or French Open would have been very different. We wouldn't have had Swiatek taking out the title because after that match, she played quite well and was clearly the favourite to take it out. But at that time, it was like, wow, okay, if Naomi had won that match, it would have changed things a lot. And obviously she didn't win that match, but I think it was a really good sign to show what is to come and that she still has it, that she still got it. She's still competing with the top players. And as her ranking improves throughout next year, at least that will mean that she'll be able to have some better 1st round matches and 2nd round matches. She had some really tough opponents early in tournaments, and that definitely doesn't help. Like at the US Open, from memory, she played Jelena Ostapenko in the 1st round and she won that match, but still, you don't want to play Ostapenko in the 1st round, ideally. At the Australian Open, she played Caroline Garcia and lost that match in the 1st round. So it's definitely some big matches to play in a 1st round when you've been out for a little while. And yeah, I just think that she needs a little bit more time to get a few more wins under her belt and then hopefully see her competing against all the top players further in tournaments rather than in a 1st round. I mean, it's always exciting in a 1st round or a 2nd round where you see those matchups, but I'd love to see that in a quarterfinal or a semi-final or even a final at some point. It's just adds to the drama of it all if it's later in a tournament, I feel. A few other great returns in 2024 included Aryna Muchova and Paolini Badosa. Both have climbed up in the ranks. Badosa is just outside the top 10, which is amazing considering the number of injuries she's had. And then also for Muchova, she's also had a number of injuries. Obviously, her wrist was a problem last year, and at the beginning of the season, we didn't really see much of her, or if at all, really. So seeing her being able to really be competitive, particularly towards the end of the season, was really nice to see. And I think if she can keep going that way, she will be back in the top 10. Personally, that is one of my predictions I'm going to make now, is that next year we see Muchova in the top 10 again. That's what I think we're going to see, but let me know, who else do you think is going to make the top 10? I think Muchova will be back into the top 10. I think Badosa will also make the top 10 again, but I'd love to know who you guys think, maybe some players that you've seen that have done well this season. You're like, oh yeah, they're set for a big year next year. Another great storyline was the rise of Diana Shnaider. She won 4 titles in 2024. So overall in the season, we saw Sabalenka win 4 titles, Iga Swiatek win 5 titles, and Diana Shnaider win 4. So she was in a very good group of players to take out titles in 2024. So she is also just outside of the top 10, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how she goes next season and whether she can convert those wins into major tournaments, particularly at a 1000 or a Grand Slam. And by having that ranking just outside the top 10 is really going to help her, particularly at the beginning of the season. Like I say, similar to Naomi, once you've kind of got that ranking, you don't have to worry as much about playing a top player in the early rounds of a tournament or in a Grand Slam. So I think her being able to have that ranking, it'll be really interesting to see if she can use that to her advantage and then be able to go far into major events. We also had the rise of Jasmine Paolini in 2024. She won a 1000, she made 2 Grand Slam finals, and also helped Italy take out the Billie Jean King Cup. Although she didn't win either of the Grand Slam finals that she was in, it was still really great that she was able to make the final, and I think there will be a lot that she can learn from that heading into next season. And even when we saw her playing against Iga at the Billie Jean King Cup, she was very competitive. Although she lost that match, I think that would have also helped with her confidence, considering that at the French Open she lost that match pretty easily, and that would have been quite disappointing and disheartening. And then she was quite good at the Wimbledon final, better than what she was at the French. However, she wasn't able to get the job done there. So as I say, disappointing losses, but I think there's a lot she could take from this season and help her into the next season. And heading into 2025, she's at a career high rank of world number 4. So what a huge year she has had, and it is going to be really fascinating to see what she brings to the tour in 2025. Another moment for me just towards the end of the season that I really liked and I'm really intrigued by is Coco Gauff. So she took out the China Open, she managed to take out the WTA finals, she was competitive against Sabalenka and Swiatek. Well, she beat both of them at the WTA finals. And I just have this feeling that she's going to have a good year in 2025. I have nothing to back that up other than seeing how well she played at the end of the season. And I just think that she could be really set to have a big year next year. If not next year, definitely in 2026 and the years to go, because she's still only 20 years old. I feel like Coco has been around forever, or at least feels like she's been around forever. So it will be really interesting to see if she can continue that momentum from the end of this season into next year. One thing that did plague her towards the end of the season and in the wins that she had was the double fault issue that she was having. She did rack up a lot of double faults in a number of her matches, and that was a clear area of improvement that she needs to work on. And I think once she can kind of improve that, then she could be a real danger to the rest of the players in the WTA and when it comes to winning slams and winning major events. Because if you remember Sabalenka a couple of years ago, she had a double fault issue as well, and once she cleaned that up, she was starting to win Grand Slams, and Coco's already won a slam. So I think that once she kind of works on that, which I'm sure that is something that they're doing in the off season to improve, but once that's resolved and has improved quite a bit, then I think she is going to be a real danger in the tour. But even if it's not resolved right away, as I say, she's still 20 years old, and I think we need to remember that she's still so young and still doing so much at this age. So once that has kind of been resolved and the double faults are cleaned up, then I think she could win a lot more slams. Because if you remember the matches she had against Sabalenka and some of the other players, she was so close to winning those matches even though she was serving a lot of double faults. So that was really promising. I thought, like, if she didn't have those double faults, she would have won those matches. Okay, now let's talk about some of the highlight matches. I've got 3 in particular that I want to just briefly talk about before we finish the video. First one is the Australian Open match between Blinkova and Rybakina. Have to say, I was in the stadium for this match in Australia, and not only was the energy in the stadium amazing, but that match it was a cliffhanger. You were on the edge of your seat watching that match because you really did not know which way it was going to go. That third set tiebreak was the longest tiebreak in a Grand Slam singles match. And look, it was both players had multiple match points. You really didn't know how it was going to go. Watching it live, I thought like Rybakina is probably going to get this done because you would expect her to. But in the end, she didn't get it done, and Blinkova won that match, and that was just such a fun match. I might be a little biased because I got to witness it live, but still, hopefully, if you guys saw it on TV, it showed how good that match was because it was really fun to watch. The next one we've already briefly spoke about, but the match between Iga and Naomi at the French Open. Look, as I say, I just think that was a really exciting match, and it was just good quality as well. Naomi had a match point, Iga was able to save it, and then she went on to take out the title. And my brain likes to think about what it actually could have been if Naomi won. I know she didn't win, so it's all what ifs, but I like to think about that of what it could have been if she did win. Overall, it was a really good match to watch. And next was the Madrid Open final between Sabalenka and Swiatek, a 3-set match. If you remember, in 2023, Sabalenka won the Madrid Open, and then in 2024, Swiatek was able to get back and take out the title this year. There were championship points saved. I mean, anytime there are championship points saved, I feel like it's got to be a good final because it just adds to the drama of it. But yeah, I think that was a really good final, really entertaining. And so that kind of then led on to what was going to be Iga's really good clay season. They then played in Rome, and the expectation was high, thinking that maybe this would be a really close final, but Swiatek managed to win that one as well. But yeah, the Madrid Open final was very entertaining and a great match. And look, they are some of the highlights for the 2024 season, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments what were your favorite moments, maybe some matches, certain players. What did you really enjoy about the season? I think there were so many highlights. This video could probably go on for over an hour talking about the key moments and the exciting moments from the season, but these were just a few highlights and hopefully bring back some good memories for the season. Look, thank you so much for watching. I cannot wait to see you in the 2025 season. We are not far away. We've only got a couple of weeks till the next season begins. So enjoy the next few weeks. And look, I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. My name is Jess. Thank you so much for watching.